Your translator is lying to you. The words came out low, almost a whisper, from a woman balancing 3 plates on her left arm like she'd done it 10,000 times before. Odalys Marchetti didn't stop walking as she said it. She set the plates down at the next table, wiped her hands on her apron, and only then let her eyes flick toward the man in the navy suit, who had gone very, very still. Desmond Kavanaugh had heard a lot of strange things across a negotiating table in 22 years of business. He had never heard anything like this from a waitress at a steakhouse in downtown Cleveland, delivered between the breadbasket and the wine list. He didn't answer her. He couldn't. Not with the German delegation sitting 3 feet away, not with Klaus Reinhardt mid-sentence, not with his own translator, a smooth, unbothered man named Grover Pruitt, sitting to his right, with the small tablet in front of him, nodding along like everything was fine. Everything was not fine. Odalys had said 4 words and then walked away like she hadn't just detonated something. Desmond's hand tightened slightly around his water glass. He looked at Grover. Grover looked back at him, calm, professional, mid-30s. The kind of face you forget the moment you stop looking at it. He'd hired Grover 8 months ago through an agency that specialized in high-stakes corporate interpretation, German, Mandarin, Portuguese, the works. Grover had come with references. Grover had come recommended by a colleague Desmond trusted. And now Waitress he had never met in his life had just told him, in 6 words, that the man might be lying. The dinner continued. Desmond forced himself to keep his face neutral, the same face that had closed $40 million deals without a flicker of doubt showing through. Klaus Reinhardt was talking now about supply chain guarantees, his voice rising and falling in German, and Grover was translating it smoothly into English, about warehouse capacity in Stuttgart and delivery windows through the winter months. Desmond nodded. He said the right things. He asked the right follow-up questions. But underneath the table, his knee was bouncing for the first time in longer than he could remember. He needed to see her again. It took him until dessert. He excused himself, said something about the restroom, and instead found Odalys refilling water glasses at the far end of the dining room, away from the private table the restaurant had set up for his group. She didn't look surprised to see him coming. "You've got maybe 40 seconds before someone notices you're gone," she said quietly, not looking up from the pitcher in her hand. "I'm not going to explain myself standing here. Then when? I'm off at 10. There's a diner 2 blocks north, on Prospect. Waverly's nobody from your dinner is going there." "How do you even know what he's saying?" Desmond said. "You understand German?" For the first time, she looked directly at him. Her eyes were tired in the way that came from being on your feet 14 hours a day, but there was nothing tired about the way she was looking at him now. "My grandmother was born in Freiburg. I grew up hearing it every Sunday of my life. I don't miss what people say when I think nobody's paying attention to me. Nobody ever is." She walked away before he could respond, leaving him standing near the kitchen doors with his heart doing something strange in his chest. He went back to his seat. He smiled. He toasted to a strong partnership between Kavanaugh Steel and Reinhardt Industrial. He shook Klaus Reinhardt's hand at the end of the night, told him he looked forward to finalizing terms by the end of the week, and watched Grover translate every word of that too, flawlessly, warmly, like a man with nothing to hide. Desmond had built Kavanaugh Steel from a single fabrication shop his father left him in Youngstown into a company with contracts across 4 continents. He had not done that by ignoring his gut, and his gut, for the first time in this entire German deal, was screaming. At 10:15, he walked into Waverly's alone. No driver waiting outside. No assistant trailing him with a tablet, just him, in a wrinkled dress shirt, with the tie stuffed in his jacket pocket, sitting across from a woman who worked the dinner shift at a steakhouse and apparently spoke better German than the man. He was paying $4,000 a week. "I need you to tell me exactly what he said," Desmond said, "from the beginning, and I need you to be specific." because if you're wrong about this, I'm going to lose more than money. Odalys wrapped her hands around a coffee mug the waitress had set down without being asked. She'd clearly been here before. I've served your table 3 times this month, she said. First time, didn't think much of it. Businessmen come through. They talk. I don't listen close. But the second time, I heard your translator tell the German man something in German. That had nothing to do with what you just said in English. You were talking about delivery timelines. He was telling Reinhardt, in German, not to worry, that the numbers you were quoting were negotiable, that you'd cave if they pushed. Desmond felt something cold slide down his spine. That's not I never authorized. I know, that's the point. He's not translating for you. He's negotiating against you, in a language he thinks you don't understand, and telling the other side exactly how far they can push before you'll fold. Why would he do that? That, Odalys said. I don't know, but I know what I heard tonight too. Reinhardt said. Something about existing arrangements with his cousin's company here in the States, I think. It's a distribution outfit. Something with the letters MVK, and your man told him not to bring it up at the table, that he'd handle it separately after the deal closed. Desmond sat back. MVK, he knew that name. Barely had come up once, months ago, in a due diligence report his legal team had flagged and then dismissed as irrelevant. A minor logistics company with no direct connection to Reinhardt Industrial on paper. He'd forgotten about it entirely until now. Why are you telling me this? He said. You don't know me. You could lose your job if the restaurant finds out you were listening in on a client's private dinner. Odalys was quiet for a moment, turning the mug in slow circles on the table. My husband worked 26 years at a plant outside Akron, she said finally. Good company, or so everybody thought. Turned out the ownership was quietly funneling contracts through a shell operation that inflated costs and skimmed the difference for years. When it all came out, it wasn't the executives who lost their jobs. It was 300 people on the floor, my husband included, 2 years before his pension vested. Nobody warned them, nobody in a position to know said a word, because it wasn't their money on the line. She looked up at him. I'm not saying you're one of those men. I don't know you, but I know what it costs when somebody who could have said something chooses not to. I decided a long time ago that if I was ever in a position to say something, I would, even if it cost me, even if nobody thanked me for it. Desmond didn't say anything for a long moment. 22 years in business had taught him plenty of things, but nothing had prepared him for the particular weight of being told the truth by someone who had absolutely nothing to gain from telling it. I need proof, he said quietly. Not for me. I believe you, but if I confront Grover with nothing but a waitress's word, he'll deny it, and I'll have alerted him that I'm onto something before I have anything to act on. Then don't confront him, Odalys said. Not yet. Bring me back to the table tomorrow night. You're having dinner with them again before the signing, aren't you? How did you know that? Because deals like this always have one more dinner before the ink dries. Rich men like to shake hands twice. A faint, tired smile. Put me on that table. I'll hear whatever needs hearing. And this time, you record it. The next night, Odalys Marchetti was assigned, at Desmond's quiet request, to the restaurant's owner and a number that made the request very easy to grant, to serve table 6 exclusively. Desmond wore a smartwatch that night that had nothing to do with tracking his heart rate. The dinner went the way these things go. Wine, small talk, forced laughter over things that weren't especially funny. Klaus Reinhardt's easy charm doing exactly what it was designed to do. Desmond played his part, asked about capacity guarantees, timeline commitments, penalty clauses for missed deadlines. Grover translated it all, smooth as ever. Odalys refilled water glasses. She cleared plates. She lingered exactly as long as a good waitress should and not a second longer, and every time she passed close to the table, she was listening. It happened over the second course. Reinhardt leaned toward Grover and said something quick, low, almost a mutter. The kind of thing said when a man thinks the only person who'll understand him is on his side. Grover's expression didn't change. He simply nodded and, moment later, told Desmond in flawless English that Reinhardt was reaffirming his commitment to a fair and mutually beneficial partnership. Odalys, 3 feet away, refilling a water glass that didn't need refilling, heard something entirely different. She heard Reinhardt tell Grover that the moment the contract was signed, the real terms, the ones routed through MVK, the ones that would quietly siphon a percentage of every shipment back through inflated logistics fees, would begin exactly as they'd discussed. She heard him ask, almost casually, whether the American meaning Desmond had any idea what was coming. She heard Grover laugh, soft and low, and say no. He had no idea at all. She finished pouring the water. She walked away, and later, in the kitchen, out of sight of the dining room, she pressed her hand flat against the wall for a moment. Because even after everything, even after Akron, even after knowing exactly why she was doing this, it still didn't feel good to watch a man be robbed in a language he trusted someone else to translate. Honestly, Desmond's watch had picked up enough of the German to matter, though not enough to be certain, was Odalys, an hour later, back at the same booth at Waverly's, who translated it all, word for word, without flinching. "He knows. You have no idea," she said. That was the exact phrase Reinhardt used. "He has no idea at all." And your translator laughed when he said it. Desmond sat with that for a long time. 22 years, and the closest he had ever come to losing everything wasn't a bad market or a failed shipment. It was a smile across a dinner table from a man he trusted to be his voice. "I want him gone," Desmond said. "Tonight, I want to call my lawyer, and I want this documented, and I want Grover Pruitt to never work another translation job in this country again." "You could do that," Odalys said. "Or you could do something better." He looked at her. "Let the deal go forward exactly as scheduled," she said. "Tomorrow, the signing. Except this time, bring your own interpreter, someone Reinhardt doesn't know about until he's sitting at that table. Let Grover keep translating right up until the moment the real terms get read aloud in German by someone Reinhardt can't laugh at. In front of your lawyers, your board, and whatever local business reporter happens to be covering the signing of a $40 million deal in this city. Let them hear their own words repeated back to them in a language they can't pretend they didn't say." Desmond stared at her. "You're describing a level of theater did not expect from a woman who serves steak for a living. I'm describing justice that actually sticks," Odalys said, instead of a quiet firing that lets both of them walk away and try this exact thing on somebody else next month, somebody who doesn't happen to have a waitress with a German grandmother refilling his water glass. The signing took place 4 days later in a conference room on the 11th floor of the Kavanaugh Steel Building. Glass walls, city skyline behind them, cameras from 2 local business outlets set up along the back wall. Because a deal this size didn't happen quietly in a city like Cleveland. Klaus Reinhardt arrived in good spirits. Grover Pruitt arrived beside him, calm as ever, tablet in hand. What neither of them knew was that, seated at the far end of the table, introduced simply as an additional legal consultant, was a certified German-English interpreter. Desmond's attorney had hired under strict confidentiality 3 days earlier, and what neither of them knew, until the papers were laid out and the pens were nearly in hand, was that Odalys Marchetti was sitting quietly beside Desmond's general counsel, not as a waitress, not as anyone Reinhardt would recognize from a dinner table, but as a sworn witness whose statement had already been notarized and filed. Desmond stood. He thanked everyone for coming, and then, in a voice that didn't shake at all, he said that before any signatures were exchanged, he wanted to revisit a comment made over dinner 4 nights earlier, regarding a company called MVK. He watched Reinhardt's face change first. He watched Grover's face change a half second later, the exact half second it took for a man who has never once been caught to realize that he has been. The independent interpreter read the exchange back, in full, in German first, and then in English, word for word, the laugh included. Reinhardt's own lawyer, sitting beside him, went pale before Reinhardt did. There was no shouting. There didn't need to be. Desmond simply stated, calmly, that Kavanaugh Steele would not be signing any agreement that morning, that the matter would be handed to legal counsel on both sides, and that he trusted Herr Reinhardt would want the opportunity to renegotiate in good faith, with an interpreter of Kavanaugh Steele's own choosing present at every future conversation. Grover Pruitt did not wait to be formally dismissed. He gathered his tablet, said nothing, and left the room before security had even been called, which told Desmond everything he still hadn't known about how deep it went. The deal was renegotiated over the following 6 weeks, cleaner, fairer, and without a hidden cent rooted anywhere it shouldn't have gone. Reinhardt Industrial, stripped of its leverage, and facing the very real threat of an international business scandal, agreed to terms Desmond's own legal team called, without exaggeration, the best in the company's history. Desmond Kavanaugh did not forget who had made that possible. 3 months later, Odalys Marchetti stood in a small office on the 9th floor of the Kavanaugh Steele building, an office with her name already on the glass, though she still hadn't quite believed it the first 4 times she'd walked past it. Desmond had created a position that hadn't existed before. Director of Vendor Integrity, a title he'd let her help write herself, with a mandate to review every major contract and every translated negotiation the company entered into, going forward, for exactly the kind of thing she'd caught in a steakhouse dining room on an ordinary Tuesday night. She hadn't asked for the job. She'd told him, when he first offered it, that she didn't need saving, that she'd only done what anyone should have done if they'd been paying attention. That's exactly why I want you, he told her, because almost nobody pays attention. And when I finally found someone who did, it turned out to be the person half the room walked past 100 times without ever really looking at. She still thought, some nights, about her husband, about the 26 years and the pension that never vested, about all the rooms where somebody had known and said nothing. She couldn't fix that. Nothing would ever fix that. But somewhere in Cleveland, 300 people who worked for a company that hadn't yet been named would never know how close they'd come to losing everything to a man in a navy suit and a translator with a very good smile, because a waitress who'd spent her whole life being looked past had decided once that she wouldn't look away.
This story is a reminder that kindness and honesty don't always come from the people we accept. Sometimes the person who saves everything is the one nobody bothered to look at twice. If this story touched your heart, hit like, subscribe and share it with someone who needs a little hope today.